Nick, very good to see you. Today, we are talking about the 6 critical risks that could derail your retirement. When it comes to retirement planning, it's not just about saving enough, it's about preparing for the risks that could undo all of your hard work. So let's break down the top 6. Number 1, sequence risk. What is this?
Um, think of it like Jenga.
Okay,
All right, you've played Jenga, right?
I'm very good at it.
You are very good at it.
Yes.
And I've played both versions of Jenga. There's the Jenga, the small one, and there's the big one that they put at the bars.
Yes.
With the big blocks, it's like 3 feet tall. But what happens if you pull the wrong block early on in Jenga?
It all comes down.
Like quickly. I mean, there's times when games have gone for like 20 minutes, and there's times when games have gone for like 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing falls down if you pull at the wrong time. So look at sequence of returns risk is like Jenga. If you get the timing right, that Jenga thing is going to stay up forever. But if you get the timing wrong and you pull the wrong block out early and the stock market goes down early on in your retirement, the whole thing can come down a lot sooner. And the easiest way for me to explain this is last night I had a college class that I taught. And what we did during that college class is we were talking about these two brothers, Bill and Steve. Now, Bill, he retired in 1990, had $500,000, said, I'm going to take out $30,000 a year of withdrawals, and that's what I'm going to do for retirement. The difference is he retired it in 1990. Bill did. Well, Bill, after 10 years, in 2000, Bill has $1.2 million. So he seems like he's Zeus, right? He's like, man, I had $500,000. I took a $30,000 withdrawal out every year, and I have $1.2 million. I'm doing great. So his brother, Steve, retires. The only difference is Steve retires at the exact same amount, takes the exact same withdrawals, everything exactly the same. The only difference is Steve retires in the year 2000 instead of in 1990. And in the beginning of his retirement, he has a couple losing years. Like that Jenga, he pulled the wrong brick out a little too soon. So what happened to Steve is now, come 2010, he doesn't have $500,000 left, and he's certainly not like his brother who had $1.2 million left over after 10 years. Steve only has $125,000 left.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that happen? It's the same scenario, sequence of returns risk.
Yeah.
Bill retired into an increasing market. Steve retired into a decreasing market. And so those early losses killed Steve, and that's why he went broke early on. And that's why sequence of returns risk is really important, and you can't ignore it, and you can't hope that it won't happen because it's not anything that we control.
Right. No, you have to have a plan. Okay, let's talk about the second risk, withdrawal rate risk. I think a lot of people are familiar with the 4% rule. Is that what you're talking about here?
Well, yes and no. 4% is a starting point. It's not a guarantee. So the 4% rule came out, it's called the broker's rule, came out in the 80s. They're trying to figure out, stockbrokers are trying to figure out, how do we take withdrawals out of accounts and what percentage should we take out that money so that it lasts? And they came up with the 4% rule. The idea is if I take out 4%, I have a 95% chance of that money lasting at least 30 years. That was the whole idea. And so the problem is if you take $1 million out, and I had a gentleman who came to me and was asking for help because he tried this 4% rule and it failed him. And then he was asking for help when it was too late. And what he had run into is he had $1 million. He was taking out $50,000 a year, but then the market dropped in 2008. His $1 million was now $463,000, but he had lived the lifestyle. He was retired. He said bye-bye to his job. And so he has $463,000 left, and now he's taking $50,000 a year of withdrawals out of a $463,000 account. You can do the math. He's broken under 10 years.
Yeah, scary.
Even if the market bounces back, which it did, it still didn't bounce back enough, and that's why he ran out. So the withdrawal rate, that 4% rule, is just a rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. But it has to be adjusted as the market adjusts, or at least create a plan that's not adhering to all market risk. That's the problem. Is a lot of people retire, it's all market risk, and then they wonder why they have to adapt so frequently. It's because the market's volatile, So your retirement's volatile.
Yeah, good point. All right, next, I want to talk through what could be one of your biggest expenses in retirement. Of course, healthcare, and specifically to long-term care, which 7 out of 10 people will need at some point. I know you know this already, Nick, but if you don't have a plan for this can wipe out your savings. This is a look at an annual cost for long-term care projected out to 2043. You can see that's going to cost you anywhere from $124,000 to $211,000.
Wow, that's so, and actually this grid starts in 2023. If here in Florida, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I bet.
If we go nursing home all the way on the right hand side, a private nursing home room is over $120,000 to
Yeah.
$10,000 a month. And in home care, if it's or assisted living, is at right around 6,000 a month. That's like 72,000 a year. So these numbers have gone up since then. So we're not talking chump change. And Fidelity did a study I thought was a very good study. They said a 65-year-old couple during their retirement years can expect to spend $330,000 in health care related expenses.
Wow.
But then if you read the asterisk, and I do, if you read the asterisk down there, it kind of said, well, that $330,000 doesn't count for long-term care costs. So that's why that other chart is really, really important, because those are huge costs. And we have this rule, you kind of alluded to it as well, but it's the rule of 70-70. There's a 70% chance that you're going to need it. That's what studies show. And there's a 70% chance that you're going to need it for up to 3 years. So the 70-70 rule. Now, I don't like talking about long-term care. It brings failing health into the picture. It's not a fun conversation. It's like talking about death. But the thing is, we can't get away with it. We can't ignore it. And what I'll ask people, I'll say, well, what's your plan? Do you have a plan for it? Are you going to self-insure? And most people, Aaron, they're telling me, my kids will take care of me.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask them, I'll say, well, do they know that? And then they'll say, well, no, they don't know that. And that's just, that in itself is not a plan.
Right. No, good point. Okay. Next, we have one of your favorites, taxation.
So it's a risk because of what taxes could be in the future.
Higher.
That's where it is. For what taxes could be in the future. So they will probably be higher in the future. David M. Walker, who's a former comptroller general. Actually, I'll talk about him in a second. What you just brought up there on the screen is perfect, because if you look, taxes historically are at lows versus what they have been in the past.
Right.
The government knows this. The politicians know this, because they can say, hey, taxes have been higher in the past, so they're low right now, so we're doing a good job. But the reality is, David M. Walker, who's a former comptroller general of the United States government, he's the one who audits the government, came out and said that because of the amount of debt that we built up, that we're going to have to raise taxes by a significant amount. And in some ways, he's actually said maybe 50% higher taxes than where we're at right now, just to make things okay. And so if that's the case, hold on to your hat, guys, because Uncle Sam's coming after what you have and is going to take more out. So that's why it's a risk, because taxes in the future could be higher.
Yeah. And next we have the silent thief in the night, inflation.
So the silent thief in the night, that is actually a coined phrase by, I think, Ronald Reagan, who said that inflation is like a silent mugger. And so, just look here in Florida. We have nationwide, homeowners insurance went up 10%, except here in Florida, it went up 42%. And like I said earlier, at this college class that we did last night, what I said during that class is $1 today will buy 44 cents of goods in 20 years. And that's just with 4% inflation. So take your dollar bill, just tear it in half and say, this is what it's going to be worth in 20 years. And so a lot of people will think, well, hey, I won't be spending as much later on. But I can tell you from experience, this is a number of people who've called our office in the last 2 years saying, hey, I'm getting too much income. Ooh, how about that? We have balloons popping up.
Too much income with balloons.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that's something with your operating
system. That's kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
It's this wonderful technology, folks. I'm not going to make any other hand signs because I don't want to like run the risk of having compliance completely like cancel
Balloons are
this
against
episode out and
compliance,
say,
Nick.
whoa, this was
Yeah.
really, really bad. So anyway, so this is the thing we got to be worried about is inflation and how that affects things. So just don't ignore it, plan for it. When you build a plan, look for inflation to be anywhere between maybe 2, 3, or 4%, but factor it in. Don't not factor it in.
Inflation, like balloons, goes up. You're
Yeah, wow.
doing it to
That's pretty
illustrate the
good.
point. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, last we have the risk multiplier, longevity.
Oh, so here's a couple scary statistics. And not scary, but it's scary for your money. So a married couple that is now 65 years old has a 90% chance of one of them living to 85.
Yeah.
A 73% chance that one lives to 90, and a 46% chance, literally 50% chance that one's going to live past 95.
Yeah.
So the rule here is don't. I have still way too many people say, well, my dad died way sooner. You can't use that as a barometer. Or, you know what, longevity just doesn't run in the family. Or I'm just not going to worry about it because I'm not that healthy. You know what? Modern medicine has a way of keeping you alive, even if you probably shouldn't be. So you got to plan for your money at least lasting to age 100, because the last thing you want to do is, have your money run out. You're 95 years old and your money runs out at 95, or you're 85 and your money runs out at 85, and you're broke, busted, and disgusted. Then what? So you definitely got to plan for longevity as well.
Well, Nick, it's clear that you live in this world. You are very familiar with all of these risks and putting in place plans to mitigate them now. The sooner, the better. So if somebody wants to talk through any questions they have with you, what's the best way to reach you?
So we have an online calendar. People can go to our website, group10financial.com. And we have our online calendar. You can schedule a quick 15-minute virtual phone call strategy session where we'll iron some of these things out and figure out what's going on, what red flags you have, if you're on track, off track, and try and get your feeling on where you feel you are, and make sure that your plan is giving you the results that you feel you need to be getting. A lot of people aren't. And so that's something that we can do, is match things up a little bit better, try and get people to a better retirement so they can retire well. That's the whole idea of what we do. And so it all starts with a quick, visit like that, just on the phone, and they can go to our website to schedule that.
Great. Nick, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Good being with you.